Well, good evening and welcome to Real Fellas Talk Sports. It's 7 o'clock on Wednesday, my favorite time of the week. I'm here with my fellas. We only have 2 shows left. We have this show and next week, and then we're taking our normal, summer hiatus, head to the beach, and we'll be back during football season. And so with that said, let me introduce the fellas before we get into it. And today we're going to talk about a little bit of, obviously, the NBA playoffs and other transactions that are going on in the NBA. We're going to touch on a little bit of baseball, a little bit on the U.S. Open, and a little bit of the NFL after the minicamp has closed. But again, without going and getting into it, let me introduce the guys. First of all, from Indianapolis, Indiana, right now, in the middle of it, Mr. David Burnett. How are you, David? And how's everything in Indianapolis?
I'm doing great. We just had a weather issue a little while ago. I wasn't sure that I was going to make the air, but the weather has passed. Other parts of Indiana and Ohio are going to get hit, but I'm here, and I'm Pacers strong.
Good. I'm glad you're safe. And we've had some weather. We've had some action here all 3 days this week. So good. I'm glad to see you healthy and ready to go. And we'll get into the Pacer discussion in a second. Another gentleman joining us this evening. He's actually a regular all the way from Virginia. Mr. Gregory Fenner. Good evening, Mr. Fenner. How you doing?
Yes, sir. Ashburn, Virginia, home of the Washington Commanders. They won so much last year. I actually call them Commanders and not the Redskins anymore. But listen, Wednesday night is nowhere else to be. Take it from me. There's nowhere else to be at 7 o'clock.
Well, glad to have you. Can't wait to get into it. And a guy I've probably known for over 60 years, from the neighborhood, from my school, the legend himself, one of the nicest guys I know, Mr. Larry Abels. Good evening, Mr. Abels.
Yeah, even though we're only in our 40s, we've known each other more than 60 years. Let's do this, guys.
All right, well, let's get into it. Let's start right away with obviously the NBA. We are right here in the NBA Finals. It's 3-2, OKC and over the Pacers. We're going to talk about Game 4 and Game 5. My quick analysis is Game 4. The Pacers let that thing slip away in the fourth quarter. They were up 7 going into the fourth quarter, let it slip away. And then in Game 5, they cut it to 2 with 8 minutes to go. Came back from 18, but again started to throwing the ball away. So, David, give me your initial observation of both games. Let's start with Game 4 first, and we'll get to Game 5.
That fourth quarter, the Pacers choked, period. Let me just call it the way it is. I'm a homer, but I'm an honest homer.
Yeah.
They choked on Game 4. They should not have let that lead go. It was a raucous crowd at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. They should have won. They let that go. It should have been 3-1, and they could have played a lot easier in Oklahoma City, but they made it hard on themselves.
Right.
Same thing they did in Game 5.
Right.
They bring it back to within 2 points, and within 1 minute, it was 10 and 12-point deficit. They've got to be stronger. They've got to be mentally stronger. They've got to be smarter with the ball, and they weren't very smart.
Larry, Game 4, man, I'll tell you, the Pacers had a 7-point lead going into that fourth quarter. What happened?
Well, my opinion about the Pacers, I had noticed that every round they've been the lower seeded team.
Yes.
But they've always swiped that first game, and nobody did that with them. And I was wondering if OKC was going to be able to steal a game.
Right.
because both teams probably feel like they should have won one more game anyway.
Yeah.
And I think the teams is, I'm such a hoop purist. They're so evenly matched. It doesn't surprise me that happened, but I'm just looking for 7 games. 3-2 can't be much more closer than it is now. Every game has been a real battle.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City was able to do to them what they did everyone else. It's still a game.
Right. Gregory, game 4. What in the world? Indiana they stopped making shots in the fourth quarter. I think they lost that quarter 31-17, unfortunately. What was your observation of game 4?
So I got a couple of theories about the Indiana Pacers. Now, as much as Indiana folded and kind of gave it away, the Thunder, they took it. And right. And so I think that when you look at SGA, he has learned, and I've given SGA and the Thunder a hard time leading up to this year about not closing, not knowing how to close. I famously said that Daigneault would be fired if he didn't win a ring. And I still believe that there's a chance. But he's so good, he's doing so well right now. Here's what I think is happening with the Pacers miss way too many free throws down the stretch.
Yeah.
I think they're looking like they're running out of gas. That's what they look like. Overall, they don't have the basketball IQ that I think the Thunder players have. Mathurin, Nesmith, Turner, they do stupid stuff down at the end. Dumb fouls that you can't commit down in the last 2 minutes of play. They do those things. They gave up. And Mathurin missed 3 free throws. 3 out of 4 free throws in the last 2 minutes. You can't do that. I mean, that's the difference in the game. The free throws are the difference. SGA, he gets fouled down at the wire, boom, shakalaka, it's down. I mean, it's so he doesn't play around with it. So I think that they got to get the Pacers got to get smarter inside in that fourth quarter. They got to make better shots. They got to take better shots, make their free throws, and don't make stupid fouls. But again, I'll say this: the Thunder stepped up and took it as much as the Pacers gave it away. It was kind of an even match.
Yeah.
Well, let me just say this. I think it's simple. As much as I'm a fan of the Pacers, I'm the biggest fan of the Pacers, 50-plus years. The Pacers don't have a Jalen Williams. Yeah. They don't have an SGA. They don't have dogs that can get it done. Yeah. The only person who's truly a dog on the Pacers is T.J. McConnell. And he's a backup. If they had more T.J. McConnells willing to do anything to win, it would be a closer series. But this is the farthest 3-2 series that I can see, because the Pacers haven't won, but maybe 2 quarters in the how many is that? 10 quarters. 2 out of 10. That's it.
Hey, let me say one more thing. I'll add one more thing. The Thunder, they must have the best team of defensive hands in the NBA. If they're anywhere near the ball, it's a steal. I mean, these guys get after that ball. Here's the other thing. I think there was a time where the Pacers were making their move and the Wallace and Wiggins had come in the game, but their rotations, their defense, their switches, they could score. But for whatever reason, in game 4 toward the end, their defense was off, and Daigneault, he got him out of there. He got him out, man.
Okay, I got to speak up. I got to defend the Pacers. I don't know what game y'all are looking at. Them guys got David Siakam's a dog. Toby's a dog. They got guys that are going out there.
They're inconsistent dogs. They're up and down. They're not dogs every night.
Oklahoma City's making dumb errors, too. When I look at it, they're throwing the ball away sometime. What's the guy? Some forgot, Holgram. Sometimes he's so lackadaisical, he throws the ball right to him. They jump right on him. The unforced turnovers. When I look at this, I'm seeing Oklahoma City looks really good, but they look a little younger than Indiana to me. Them teams are evenly matched. I'm not taking anything away from it.
They are evenly matched.
Hold on. I absolutely. Hey, what's up, Patrick? And thanks for joining us.
Patrick.
Hey, look, you guys are exactly right. And I really hate to reduce the game to something simple. But I'm just telling you, if you look at the fourth quarter, the teams that are winning those fourth quarters are doing two things. They're making their threes and they're not turning the ball over. It really is that simple to me.
One of our friends to the show, Jeffrey Clark, just commented.
What's up, Jeff?
And he's a sometimes contributor to the show.
Yes. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, when we get into the stats later on, I got a couple of stats that caught my eye that are going to blow. They're going to make this argument so valid that it's going to be silly. I'm telling you, these are some interesting stats.
And really, I want to say in game, I don't know whether it was game 4 or 5. Actually, Indiana won the second half of one of those games. They actually won the second half.
Yep.
Well, I always said at the beginning of this series that Indiana had to win the three-point shooting piece of this between those two teams because I thought OKC is. I think Indiana is solid too, athletic. I mean, they got a lot of talent on their team.
Oh man,
yes.
yes.
Their thing is they can shoot, and I just thought that they would have to outshoot OKC, and they've struggled a little bit in the fourth quarter, except for the games that they won.
Bro, I'm telling you, turnovers and free throws usually result from players getting tired and losing their legs. That's the most consistent driver of turnovers and missed free throws. And I've never seen this in the Pacers, but they're starting to look like they're running out of gas down in the last 3 to 5 minutes.
I hear you on running out of gas, but it's poor decisions.
Yeah.
The guy we have not mentioned, Tyrese Halliburton, has not lived up to what he's promised. Yeah. I know he's hurt now, but whenever I see him drive the lane and kick it out for a three-pointer, I know the Pacers are in trouble because that means he's uncertain and he's a little timid at times.
Yeah.
And that hurts the team. He's got to be more of a dog, more of a leader.
Early in the game. Early in the game.
Counting on him.
That's what I think. Counting on him. The slow getting started. But the last game, he didn't even. I could tell something was wrong with him because normally he drives in and makes a couple of layups, and it kind of opens things up. All he did was shoot jumpers in the last game.
Right. Well, let's talk about game 5. It's the most recent game that just occurred. It's on our mind, fresh. Again, they came from 18 points down, cut that thing down to 2 with 8 or 9 minutes to go. And then they had 4 or 5 straight turnovers. David, what was your big takeaway in that game? Daryl, thanks
Andrew Nembhard. Andrew Nembhard was atrocious in the fourth quarter. Atrocious. He squandered that 2-point advantage that they were inching up on. I don't understand it. I will never understand it. Siakam, I mean, how many times does the man have to hit the floor?
6. He had 6 turnovers in that game.
Siakam is on the floor over and over and over again. I don't know.
And the whole jumping in the air when they don't have a place to pass the ball, that's like, you don't, your 8th grade girls team, you would get mad at them if they did that. That hurt them a couple of times, and they get those breakaways for layup. Larry, what was your takeaway of game 5?
The thing about it, to me, game 5 was a great game. A lot of times I have a theory when a team is far behind and they come back and take the lead, they almost always need to do that with less than a minute left of the game.
Yeah.
I think Indiana, even though they didn't get the lead, but they came back kind of early. And it's like a game of runs, and, Oklahoma City had a run in them afterwards. Right. But I still thought that was a good game, even though it was probably a double-digit victory. Up until the last couple of minutes, that was a good game.
No, I agree with you. In fact, we all thought when they cut that thing to 2, we all said, here we go again. We've seen this movie.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna be too hard on Mathurin missing those shots because the game before he was hitting everything.
He too had a bad Mathurin, Halliburton, and Nembhard. All 3 of them really had bad games, and coupled with the fact that Jay Will and SGA played great. So you add all that up, and they were still in there. So
look at what happened that game.
Right.
Jay Will got 40. SGA got 31. All of their role players who hadn't hit squat in Indiana were hitting threes, and Indiana was right there. They were right there.
I have found myself rooting. And David, I must admit, I have found myself rooting for the Pacers big time. I don't know because I think they're the underdog. I don't know why, but I have been rooting for them big time. So you have support on my end, quite frankly, because I'm rooting for the Pacers.
And I appreciate your comment, Patrick. And Patrick's right. You know, it's a 3-point lead now.
It
You
is.
got to hit them.
And by the way,
particularly
that was
the
their
corner
thing.
threes.
That was the thing about the Pacers. It was unbelievable how they bring guys in the fourth quarter and the starters, and they just make their shots in the fourth quarter. And they've struggled a little bit in that area right now, coupled with the turnovers. So, Halliburton, let's talk about him.
Well, let me talk about Game 5.
Go ahead.
So turnovers.
Yeah.
23 turnovers for the Pacers, 11 turnovers for the Thunder.
Huge.
That's part of the difference in the game. The other part was the 40 points by J-Dub. That's a big deal when your other guy, your real MVP, is still getting his. So, but I will tell you, and I said this before, McConnell played annoyingly well. I mean, that dude really stepped up. I got to give it to him. He stepped up, and he doesn't do it as much as I like to see him do it. But Chet Holmgren is periodically a pretty good basket defender. Periodically, he doesn't have the strength to do it every trip down the floor. But when they need a block, he seems to come up with a block. So I think the fifth Game 5, that fourth quarter, it was taken as much as it was given. And when you make that run, it takes so much out of you. To your point, Larry, if you do it too soon, man, it's you don't have enough to finish, but it takes so much out of you to come from 18 points behind. Man, that's a big deal. That's a lot.
I'm impressed with both clubs in terms of the fact this is the NBA Finals, and I think both clubs, even the bench guys, are the Wiggins and Bradley and these. I mean, guys are contributing in the NBA Finals, and I think it's pretty impressive, especially on the OKC side.
It's impressive because they've been playing like that all season.
Exactly.
The Pacers and the Thunder,
I agree.
Use the entire roster.
The new model, both these teams, and that's why this has been such a fascinating, like Larry said, fascinating series, because we are now in a model.
That's why I don't understand some of these teams with 12 players and 3 of them, 4 of them you never even heard of. Why are they on the team if they're not going to play? I mean, the Pacers and the Thunder, they play everybody.
Let me just say this before we leave.
In previous series that are not even getting in the game, like Darvin Williams.
It's crazy.
Let me say this about tomorrow's game: the 2 players that have to deliver, because Halliburton's going to be hurt. He's not. I don't even know if he should play.
Right.
Because he could rupture an Achilles tendon. But Obi Toppin and T.J. McConnell, if they have big games, the Pacers can win. Obi Toppin, who's played well the entire series, and T.J. McConnell, who's played well the entire series. Both of them are backups. But if they get enough time and care, the Pacers can win that game and take it back to Oklahoma City for Game 7 on Sunday.
Larry, how about yourself? Do you think, A, Indiana can win that tomorrow? And B, if they can, what should we look out for that would put Indiana over the top in that game, given the fact that Halliburton is hurt?
Halliburton being there would be nice if he's healthy. And I don't know if he's healthy. I didn't even see Oklahoma City test him on defense. I thought they would try to get some switches, and they didn't even do that. But when I go back to Indiana, I think it's a good chance they will win tomorrow. And I subscribe to the theory that role players play better at home. I'm looking for the players on Indiana to play better. And people like McConnell play well on the road. So he's screaming, they can't check me. I was crying when I saw him do it.
Is there something key that we should be watching that maybe would show up that would put Indiana in a good position? For example,
I think their bench will probably play a little better than Oklahoma City's bench, and they'll get the job done.
Okay.
I got.
How about you, Greg? What should be watched? Should A, can Indiana win tomorrow? And B, if they do, how will they do it?
Because the teams are so evenly matched, I think Indiana has a 50-50 chance with Halliburton if he's playing up to his ability. All right. Now, if he doesn't play, that drops to 3.5 to 4 in 10 if he doesn't play. These are the 4 things that I think have to happen in order for Indiana to win. First off, Siakam has to score 30 points, right? Siakam has to score at least 30 points. Nesmith and Turner cannot foul out. They cannot foul out. McConnell has to be flawless at the point if Halliburton doesn't play. And the last thing, the Pacers have got to reduce their turnovers. They cannot win making 23 turnovers. They got to reduce their turnovers.
I agree.
Hey, they won the first game doing that. They won the first game. They did that.
They did. They had 25 turnovers to like
Right. Okay, so
but they made shots though, Larry. Larry, they made shots though.
Yeah, and Oklahoma City didn't capitalize on it.
Right. Okay,
it can be done.
Okay, so how about who's been your biggest surprise, David, so far in this series, good and bad? Who's been your biggest surprise, good and bad? I know you've touched on some of this already, but good and bad, who's been your biggest surprise?
Mathurin was the biggest surprise because he's capable of playing that way a lot.
Yeah.
But I think he's kind of in a head space that's not good. And I'm not talking about missing the three free throws.
Free throws.
He hasn't played consistently well really for the last couple of months.
Well, it's just this series.
Well,
in
this series, he's been a surprise positively and negatively.
Right.
Nembhard, who's usually a reliable when the game is tight, he delivers. He hasn't delivered.
Right.
He's made horrendous turnovers, and they can't win like that. He's better than that, but he hasn't shown it. I think the pressure of the series is getting to it.
Well, having to check SGA
but that's his job. He knows SGA. They've been playing together since they were kids.
Yeah, but
that's no excuse. It's no excuse. You got to do better.
Right.
You got to do better.
Larry, your biggest surprise, good or bad?
Well, I've mentioned McConnell a few times, so he's one of them.
Yeah.
I like Tobin. I think he's had monster games. Right. He acted 5 minutes on my squad for him. I'll say Caruso for Oklahoma City. He's really been balling.
Yeah.
I'm not going to knock anybody. I think anybody's shortcomings largely have been the result of the defense on the other team.
Good point.
And I think back to Nembhard, David, I think he's done a good job making SGA work. And they've changed their offense where SGA doesn't bring the ball up every time.
Right.
Now, I think that probably has impacted his offense somewhat, and he has made some untimely turnovers. I can't knock anybody in this series.
Right. How about you, Greg? Good or bad?
So, again,
thoughts?
I don't have any knock on anybody, but I will say I really believe Chet Holmgren has stepped up to
what's up, Robert?
Play. I think, but I think to that point also, Larry, the fact that SGA is not bringing the ball up as much, he's not getting worn down as much either. His stamina is a lot better because that's work. When you got to fight with a guy like that to get the ball up court, that's work. So I think that's helping.
I agree, but Indiana made them change that. I mean,
absolutely. Oh, no doubt.
They would prefer that.
That wasn't by choice. No, that wasn't by choice. Yeah.
Hey, David, what's the odds tomorrow? 50-50, 20-10, that they're going to win tomorrow. What's the odds?
I'm not in the right headspace to say.
Right.
All I know is I think it's 50-50. It depends on what we see in the first 3 or 4 minutes of the game. If they hit a couple of threes, if they get the crowd going, if they get their confidence going, if McConnell, who should be the starter tomorrow, that's what I would do. I would start McConnell and see what he can do. If not, then you go with Nembhard as the point guard.
But I do think David Halliburton, if he can walk, he's going to try. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do.
Halliburton is a sentimental choice, but he's delivered really at the end of games, not always during the heart of the game.
Right.
I think the coach will have to make that call, though. I think he's stuck with him because of what he's done in the past. But I think he'll probably have a quicker hook
I
And
agree.
when I was looking at that, the way McConnell was going, to me, that was his night that
I would have
night.
got him out.
I would keep McConnell as a starter for tomorrow night and have Halliburton as a emergency relief if needed.
The thing about McConnell, they leave him open sometimes, like wide open, and he still knocks that shot down. I wonder why they leave him so wide open.
I think you've seen the last of that. Though. I think you've seen the last of them leaving him open. I think you've seen the last of that.
But he's going down, finding the spot as a fellow short guy. All you got to do is create that little space, and he does that. He gets a shot off in the lane.
He drives the lane more than any of the Pacers combined.
He gets a shot off in the lane or all the trees down there.
Yes, he does.
How about that big steal? How about that big steal he had late in I guess it was game 4.
That
He
was
stole the inbounds pass, made the layup.
And nobody even saw. Nobody even noticed he had stolen the ball. Nobody even noticed it.
Right, tough little guy.
But I don't.
Okay.
I think every game is 50-50 to me. These teams are so evenly matched. The only reason I dropped it to 4-10 is if Halliburton is out. And Halliburton playing hurt may be a bigger liability than him being out of the game.
Glenn's right. He's going to be on a shorter leash tomorrow. I think they're going to give it a try, and then if it ain't working, they got to take him out. If he's not aggressive on offense, what's the point, right?
And if I'm Oklahoma City, I'm going to test him on defense too. I'm going to switch it.
Absolutely.
Even when he was healthy, Larry, I thought they were targeting him. I thought they were hunting him. They would put him in those pick and rolls, and they would go right at him.
Yeah, and if he's hurt, you go right at him. Yeah, he's like a guy with 5 fouls, man. You go right at him.
So anyway, it's been you guys are right. It's been a wonderful series. Both teams have been equally matched. It could have gone either way. And it's been kind of cool, kind of a good change, and we'll see what happens going forward. So let me hit on a couple of other things in the NBA before we move on. Unless you guys have anything else you want to say about
keep going.
All right.
One more thing. I do have one more thing. So from a stat perspective, the stat that just blew my brain is the turnovers. The Pacers had 23 turnovers in Game 5, and the Thunder had 11. However, the Pacers conceded 32 points off turnovers, and the Thunder only conceded 9. That's a big difference. When you give up 32 points off turnovers, that is unsustainable. You cannot win.
They get out on those breaks. I find it also impressive too from the LKC. You know how they go to the bucket with that one hand thing, and they lay that ball up high off the backboard. Jay Will does that. SGA does that. That is a hard shot to do with your weak hand.
But it's easier when you got that quick first step. That those guys have and I really have started really looking at SGA's feet. He has the feet of Mikhail Baryshnikov. This dude's feet are incredible. And that's where he wins the game. That's where he beats his opponents with his feet.
It's a small negative, but I'll say it again. I still think he uses his shoulder to do some separation and then makes the shot. I think
so does your boy LeBron James.
Yeah.
And everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it in this series because they're not calling it.
But and he's learned how to do it so subtly. He does it so subtle that you don't notice it until the defender's falling back. Like, wait a second, did he just bump? I think he did.
Just fall back by himself.
Giannis does it all the time.
Tobin be sending Holmgren into the crowd every time he gets
So the dunk that I think it was Neesmith dunked on the rebound.
Yes.
He came over Holmgren so high and so hard. It was actually an over the back. That's
another guy we haven't mentioned today that also has to. He's got to stop getting in turn.
He is a head case in terms of mistakes.
Too many fouls.
He's out of control. He's out of control.
Absolutely.
Hey, look, this is the second straight year they made it to the finals, right? All right, so we got to let them play. They made it to Eastern Conference Finals last year.
Right.
They've improved.
Well, I'll never forget that guy against the Knicks in that fourth quarter when he was just unbelievable. I haven't seen that guy since then.
Yeah.
I would like to see him again.
I know you would. All right. Well, look, let me hit on a couple other things in the NBA and we'll call this the fast break and get your feelings on it. And I'll start with you, Larry. How about the Bane to Orlando trade? And I guess KCP and Cole Anthony went to Memphis along with 4 draft picks. What's your thoughts about that whole thing, Larry? Were you surprised by that, and what's that all about?
I think KCP has a contract that Orlando wants to get rid of, and in order to get Bane, they probably say, well, you got to throw some draft picks in here too. I really think it was probably a lot about money. Right. As far as Bane, I think Bane was really one of the most reliable players that Memphis had, and he kept them. Even though they played better when Ja was there, they still did, fairly decent when Ja wasn't there. And a lot was because of Bane. I think he's going to fit in well in Orlando. And Orlando's got to be looking at, well, Milwaukee's not going to be good next year, or they're going to have problems because Lillard's hurt. Boston's going to have problems because Tatum's hurt.
Tatum's out,
and we were on the upcome, so I think they probably improved a little bit. And who cares about draft choices?
And he's a 3-point shooter, too. And I think that's something that Orlando was missing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was so what did you think? What did you think? Did that surprise you, Greg? Did you have any thoughts on that trade?
It just seemed like a lot for Bane. Now, I love Bane, and I think Bane's a solid player, but I thought that was a lot. I'm like, 4 first-round draft picks. I know, that's a lot. But I'm thinking, I'm thinking that case. I think that's like a fuel dump, like a plane might need emergency landing. We got to dump some of this fuel. That was a fuel dump. That was a salary dump, man.
David, do you have any thoughts of that move? And did it catch you by surprise?
I think Memphis is a dysfunctional organization right now.
Yeah.
For an organization that keeps, coddling Ja Morant and all of his foolishness and danger. I think they're deconstructing the team, and Desmond Bane is a pretty damn good player. Orlando's on the upswing, and Memphis is getting whatever they can for him. I think that's what happened.
Given what you just said, David, do you think Ja and or Jaren Jackson Jr., do you think Memphis will move them this summer?
No, I don't.
You don't think?
I think they're going to keep them because they're really the heart and soul of the team, even though both of them have flaws.
Right.
I think Bane's going to play well with Paolo Banchero too, because Paolo Banchero needs the ball a lot, but Bane actually doesn't. He can play alongside pretty much anybody, but he can really shoot. I think that's a good compliment for Paolo.
Larry, do you think Ja and or Jaren Jackson will be moved by Memphis this summer?
No.
You think they'll stay?
Yeah, I think that's the heart of their team.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Lakers got sold right before the show, so this is fresh. David, any thoughts on? They sold it for $10 billion. The Celtics got sold last summer. Now the Lakers got sold today. What's up with that? Any thoughts? Anything? What's your thoughts on that whole
Jeannie Buss just became a multi-billionaire. That's what I think. And the Lakers are not going to be harmed because this guy is not going to interfere with the progress of the team. The Lakers are still going to be a draw. If they're worth $10 billion, he's not going to mess it up.
Yeah, I think he owns the Dodgers or a part owner.
Yeah, he owns the Dodgers.
Yeah.
He owns the Dodgers.
Larry, any thoughts on that whole thing? Did that catch you by surprise?
Sort of caught me by surprise, but $10 billion, I would sell my team too. Somebody
really?
Buy it.
Because maybe 2 years from now they'll be worth $12 billion or $13 billion.
Well, I think they waited till the new contract, which Boston's team didn't. Even though Boston still got a lot of money for this too, but $10 billion is kind of hard to turn down.
Right. Greg, did that catch you by surprise? Any thoughts about that?
It did and it didn't. I would guess that Jeannie Buss is probably just ready to get out of the business and get on with her life, because it's a lot of headaches running a NBA franchise, especially the Lakers. Now, they paid $67.5 million for the Lakers and got $10 billion for them. I mean, that's kind of a hard deal to turn down. That's a lot of money. So
there's only 32 of them teams, man. There's only 32 of them teams.
Yeah. And she's seen the best days, so
David, Knicks. Who's going to coach the Knicks next year, David?
You don't want my answer. My answer is I don't care.
That was a good answer. There you go. That's okay with that. How about you, Larry? Who's going to coach the Knicks next year?
I expect it's going to be the Malone or what's the guy, Mike Brown.
Mike Brown.
Yeah, one of those two.
Yeah. How about you, Greg?
Okay, so I think who will likely get it is Taylor Jenkins from the Grizzlies. I think he's probably the guy that's going to get it. But who I would like to see get it, I'd love to see Rick Brunson get it. I'd like to see Brunson get the head job. I don't know if that'll happen, but I mean, I don't know. I don't even know where he figures in the organization. But man, I would love to see that.
Let me comment on Rick Brunson getting the head coaching job. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that there's some simmering concern about Rick Brunson and Jalen Brunson, that tandem, father son, and Jalen Brunson he's a ball hog, and in a positive way, but he's ball dominant, and daddy coaching the team. I don't see that working, and I think it could divide the team.
Has there ever been a father-son tandem playing and coaching? I don't remember one.
Doc Rivers coached his son.
Oh, but he didn't play that much. Yeah.
The thing that you have, David, one thing I will say about goodwill for Brunson, the ball player, he gave up a lot of money so the Knicks could sign other players. So that should look good in the eyes of management. I don't know if it's good enough to get his father the job.
And I wonder if one day he doesn't look back on it and wonder what the hell he was doing in that.
I'm looking back already. I normally don't care about money, but I don't know why he did that.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot he gave up. And he did it twice. He did it twice. He did it when he came from Dallas to New York, and then he re-signed last summer for a ball.
That's when he gave it back.
But the thing is, Jalen Brunson was not then the Jalen Brunson he is now. I think he has solidified his MVP quality play with what he's been able to do the last year and a half.
Interesting.
Right, he just gave the money back like last year, Dave. After he showed what he could do, he took less money to stay there.
Sometimes you take less to get more later. He's a top dollar player now.
Yeah, he is. He
wasn't before.
Yeah.
All right. Again, fast break. KD, David, where do you think KD will end up next? What team will KD play for next year, including Phoenix?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is he's 30. He'll be 37 in September. He's at the end of his career. He's moving around. He didn't do anything for Phoenix. I think he's just a scorer now. He's going to get 26 points, and he's not going to help a team. I don't want him.
That's not easy to do, to get 26 points every night. That's not
but you got to. His whole thing is to be a winner. He's got 2 championships. What else is he going to do?
All right. Larry, who will KD play for next year?
I'm not sure, but I think the team that he would fit in well with would be a win-win proposition for everybody would be Houston. Houston has a good team. They're inconsistent offensively, but they had the second best record in the West. A great coach, and if they had a consistent scorer, they're relying on Green, who's the epitome of being inconsistent. If they had a veteran that was steady, and they have so many athletes, right, they can kind of hide any defensive weaknesses that he might have because they're athletic. I think that'd be a good fit for him. I'm not sure if he'll end up there.
They said they Phoenix turned down the trade. Houston offered up Green and I can't think of who the second person was. It was Green and somebody else for KD, and Phoenix said no. So I guess maybe Houston has to go back and try to sweeten the pots with some draft picks or something. But they're thinking like you're thinking, Larry. Houston is thinking if they can add somebody like KD to that team, they're going to be formidable. Greg, do you have any thoughts of where KD will play next year?
Well, my first thought is, where does every other player on his way out of the league end up? Washington Wizards. I mean, of course.
He won't. He won't do that.
He won't. But I'm thinking that's where most of the players on their way out end up. Actually, a real long shot. I wouldn't mind seeing him go to Boston. He's only got a year or two, and Tatum's going to be out for a year. He can help them.
Well, Boston's got a bloated payroll now, so I don't know.
Well, that's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem.
Right. All right. Anything else about the NBA you guys want to How about, did you see the pictures of Wemby the other day? And they say he might be 7'7" now.
Jesus Christ.
I know.
I never believe stuff like that.
Well, I'm just,
7-7. God.
you guys are the experts. That's why I was throwing it out there. Maybe you had some thoughts and
No.
so forth. But 7'7", Jesus.
But he's still a kid, so he's still growing. I mean,
He was at his Buddhist monk. I mean, he was at his Buddhist retreat. So bless his heart. All
Maybe
right.
the Buddhist stretched him out.
All right. Enough of the NBA. We'll see. You know, good luck tomorrow in Game 6, and so we'll see what happens about that. We'll talk about that next week. All right. How about the NFL? The mini camp is over. Anything about those? You know, now that the mini camp is over, everybody's come home, and they won't go back to camp until camp time, late July. Any thoughts from that, David? In your opinion, anything caught your attention in mini camp?
Anthony Richardson, done. Our quarterback for the Colts. This is his 3rd year. He's done. He's always injured. I was a big supporter of him. I just don't see a future for him. And I think Dan Jones is going to be the starter, and he's going to at least represent.
And don't try to hide his name. It's Daniel Jones. It's the same Daniel Jones.
Yeah, call him Dan.
New York Giants. He's trying to trick us, Greg, by calling him Dan Jones. Like we didn't know.
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. So you think Daniel will be your
let me just say this real quickly. Daniel Jones is better than Anthony Richardson. Period.
Wow.
Period.
Whoa.
Yeah.
He's played better so far. I mean, you got to get into him.
Holy crow.
Larry, anything come out of the mini camp and all the OTAs that caught your attention? Maybe it's something like McLaurin, for example.
Well, I was going to say not really, other than the few people that need to be signed. You know, Pittsburgh signing Aaron Rodgers, but I think Cincinnati needs to take care of Hendrickson, and
they're talking. They're finally
talking. I guess Parsons is still out there for Dallas and McLaurin. Yes. So, but I think those things probably will be resolved by the time training camp starts.
Okay, Greg, anything catch your attention from all the mini camps and all the talk and so forth?
So a few things. First off, I don't know what in God's name they're doing in Pittsburgh. I don't know what Mike Tomlin's thinking, but Rodgers he's fragile as a porcelain doll. So the first sack, he may be done, and he's poisoned. He's going to poison the locker room. Mike Tomlin never struck me as a guy who's trying to get fired, but I'm starting to wonder if he's just tired of coaching. Right?
Might not be his decision.
They got to be regretting either letting Justin Fields go or not drafting Shedeur, who is incredibly accurate in camp. I actually think that by halfway or 2/3 of that season, Shedeur could be the starter in Cleveland
against fourth stringers.
Because Flacco is fragile too. He's getting up there. He doesn't have the mobility he used to have.
Did you hear the Shedeur news today?
101 miles an hour in a pickup truck. Come on, man. I mean, I don't know what he was thinking there. But here's the thing that I'm really because I'm such a homer, man. I just hope Gallup can help get Scary Terry free a little bit more. I think that's and I hope this defense, this tackle Tunsil, I hope he can just stay down in the stance long enough and not get penalties and protect the blind side and do what he came here to do. And of course, if both of those knees actually if he doesn't have a prosthetic leg, he could be a factor. But I don't know if he's, really. But I think we're in for something good here. I just hope that our offensive coordinators have done a good job of planning, because these defensive coordinators, they're on to Jaden now. They know what they got, and they better come with something new. They can't come with the same old offense. He better come with something new.
Hey, David, your boy got caught for 101 miles an hour too. Did you see that?
No.
Zach Edey.
He was going 101 miles an hour?
101.
I didn't even know if he could fit in a car.
Right.
But Shedeur was in a pickup truck. He wasn't in a Porsche or a Lamborghini. He was in a pickup. He was in a Dodge pickup truck. 101 at 3 a.m. I mean,
stupid,
bro. I mean,
stupid. Maybe he did have his headphones on during the interviews.
It would appear it certainly seems likely.
Anything else about the NFL you guys want to just touch on before we move on? We'll have plenty of time when we come back in the fall to cover the NFL. But just a side note, a little personal side note, Charles got back on Saturday, said his camp went well. They were talking to him, and he participated in media day. So
I hope he sticks with the team.
All of us are.
I'm telling you, that sack on Watson on third down, causing that fumble, was a big play. That was big, bro. That was big.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. All right, real quick, and Greg, I know you're the biggest golf fan amongst the group, but I have one question about the U.S. Open, which concluded on Sunday. And the big question for me is, should they have canceled that Sunday because the weather was so bad and wet and so forth? I was just kind of surprised they didn't cancel it. Did you have any thoughts on that, Greg?
So the USGA has strict rules around continuing to play. And if it's no lightning, they play on. The only thing that stops it is lightning or darkness. Other than that, they play on, man. And it was the best. This is the hardest golf course that I've seen in years. I mean, when one player finishes in red numbers, one player, and he was only one under. Right. And he had to sink a 62-footer to be one under.
To get there.
So it was incredible. And I said in our group text, Chuck, he beat the best players on the toughest course in the worst conditions. That is your champion. That's a champion.
I thought it was a great story. And he at 3:00 in the morning, like they said, he went and had to go to CVS to get medicine for his child.
Exactly.
So.
He's got to find her all night. In Pittsburgh, he's got to find a 24-hour pharmacy, and he's got a sick child at 3 a.m. aside from the work he had. But the child is sick. That's your baby that's sick. So he didn't get much sleep, and to play like that.
Yeah. How about you, Larry? Any thoughts of should they even play the Open in the wet with the weather? And so, just generally speaking, I don't know how much you're into the golf thing.
I saw some of the highlights. It did look unfair to some of the golfers that were out there hitting the ball in puddles and stuff like that. I heard Tony Kornheiser say that they wanted Sunday afternoon as opposed to pushing it to Monday.
Because of Father's Day and all the fathers were around the TV.
And he thought about going up against the NBA, but I'm thinking they're not really playing at night.
No,
so
they weren't thinking about that. They couldn't care less. No.
Yeah.
But everybody played in the same conditions, though. So, it wasn't raining on some holes and not on others.
Do you want golf played in those conditions?
At the pro level, yes.
I wouldn't want basketball played in those conditions, okay?
Because that's how you decide the champion. Everybody's playing.
I just would prefer to have to me, it'd be better if it was better conditions.
David, do you have any thoughts about the Open on Sunday?
JJ Spawn won his second professional tournament. I mean, a PGA level tournament.
Filipino.
He's a great story.
I
knew nothing about him, nothing. But when I heard about him taking care of his baby, he deserved to win. I tuned in a little bit. I'm not, without Tiger, without Calvin Pete, without Arnold Palmer, without Lee Trevino, I don't give a damn about golf.
Right.
Tiger's not walking through that door very well anymore.
Exactly.
But Spawn was a good story, and I'm glad he won.
He hit two incredible drives on 17 and 18 to put him in position to win in those conditions. So
it's literally a Disney movie. It's a Disney movie.
The
guy's 34. He lost his card once before. He almost quit. He won the tournament. It's first after 147 starts. He wins the tournament in 22. He almost lost it again in 24. He actually said he was going to give up the game if he didn't play better. So
and then to end it on that putt, to end it on that 64-foot putt. Come on.
$4.3 million. and no, it's a Disney movie, man. It's a real. And he's a type 1 diabetic. And he's
about a lot of medicines. All right, real quick on baseball. So first of all, Shohei pitched this week. How about that? Shohei pitched this week. Is that a big deal, little deal, or no deal, David?
Little deal. It's not no deal. Little deal. 1 inning, That's fine to see how he's doing. I know he hit 100 miles an hour. He didn't, every time you get that Tommy John surgery, I think it's an advantage. He does something to the arm that may be illegal. But Shohei, he's just one of the great players of all time. And as long as he's on the field in some capacity, hitting home runs. What is he at? 26 home runs now?
Oh, he was 2 for 4 that day. He pitched too, by the way.
Yeah.
But I mean,
with 2 RBI.
Great player.
Yeah,
But
I mean-
I don't care if he pitches or not at this
he's
point.
tough. Larry, was that a little deal, no deal, big deal?
Well, I kind of agree with David. I mean, I think it's more of a step in the right direction if he's going to come back. He's been throwing in the bullpens, but you never really find out till you get live pitching. And they're not going to send him down to the minors because his bat is too good. So he's not going to go down there. So they want him to hit. So I think it was a step in the right direction for him.
Right. How about you, Greg? Little deal, no deal, big deal?
Here's why I think it's a big deal, because I think that eventually,
Hey, what's up, Mike? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Mike.
I think Ohtani could follow in the steps of Babe Ruth. If his arm isn't right, he could give up pitching altogether. His bat is so incredible. This dude hits that ball so well. He could give up pitching altogether and be really focused on hitting. No telling how many home
And his
runs.
legs are good too.
Oh,
His
yeah,
legs
he's
are
still
phenomenal.
basic. No, he's
So-
special.
So yeah, I think I think it's a big deal because his hitting overshadowed his pitching. I mean, he got off to a rocky start. The first couple of batters, they got into him pretty good. They weren't just getting hits; they hit him hard. They hit
His
him really
first time
hard.
back on the mound for a while. I think it's kind of a big deal, meaning, I mean, they think the Dodgers are thinking October, right? And so if they can get that guy, they're adding an arm like his arm to a already formidable lineup.
Yeah.
So if they can get him right come October,
Yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's cool. Hey, by the way, we all have ties to Washington, D.C. 3 of us live in the area. David, I know you spent a lot of time here, obviously. Our Nationals, they've just lost 10 in a row. They got swept by the Miami Marlins. They suck. They just lost 2 games, I think, to the Rockies. Today's game was suspended because of weather. I don't know if they're going to continue it or not. Will Davey Martinez, the coach, and Rizzo, the GM, will they make it out of the week in terms of being fired or not, Larry?
I think Rizzo probably will. If they get rid of Davey, it's just a move to make a move.
Right.
And the real problem is they haven't done a good job getting players, acquiring players, either by trade or drafting lately. So they're in bad shape.
They are in a bad shape. Greg, did the coach and GM get out of the weekend?
so I'm surprised, Mark David. I'm surprised he made it to sundown tonight. I'll be surprised
Before
by
the show
that.
started. You're surprised he made it before the
I
show
thought he
started.
might have got clipped while we were on the air, but the GM, he'll probably make it. He'll fire him to save his own hide, and it'll just delay things. But I had to laugh because it's like what the comments that he made about I'm not responsible for them losing. Like, whatever happened to the buck stops here? I guess that's just a myth, So he's not taking any accountability for. Here's the marker I think that happens in all sports. When a coach loses the locker room, that's when they typically get clipped. And if you make a comment like then he said, I'm not saying anything bad about the players. I'm just saying it wasn't our fault. Well, who's left? The popcorn guy? Who's left?
I think he didn't answer that question well. I mean, they were really trying to say he was being asked where the coach is failing. And he was really trying to defend the coach. He should have given it's all of us. That's what he should have said.
Right.
You should do like head coaches in football do. Fire the offensive coordinator. Fire the batting coach. Damn it, we're not hitting the ball, so the batting coach is fired. We're not pitching well. Fire the pitching coach. It's like you defending the coaches. The coaches can't give you a job, man.
Right. David, what do you think? The manager, GM, will they get fired probably the next couple of days?
I don't have enough information, but what my initial blush is that Washington is a poorly run franchise.
I agree.
They don't really care. They give away players. They don't care, so nobody's going to get fired.
Right. Yeah. Status quo, business as usual.
That's sad, man. That's
Kind of like the Charlotte Hornets of basketball. I don't know what they do down in Charlotte, but it don't seem like they're trying to win to me. So, anything else happened this week in sports that I missed, perhaps, that you guys wanted to comment on? Larry?
WNBA's in full.
Oh, my God. Let's talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
So, Caitlin Clark came back this week, right? She beat the Fevers. The Fever played the New York Liberty, which was undefeated. Miss Clark came back, and I think that was Sunday or Saturday. She had 32. They beat the Liberty, and she really looked good. Now, don't get me wrong. Ionescu looked good, too, for the Liberty, but that was a big win for the Fever. Then they backed it up last night against Connecticut. Anything else about how about anything else about the WNBA, Larry, that you wanted to mention?
I've been watching some of the games, and I think the players improving overall. More, they're on TV a little bit more, so I'll be focusing more in on them after the NBA is over with. But
Right.
I'm pretty excited about the league this year. They have a lot of good players in that league.
All right. Greg, any observations of the WNBA the last week?
Well, I'm a Caitlin Clark fan, so she came back full throttle. She didn't come back, 2/3, 3/4. She came back full throttle, and she is a complete player. She scores well. She passes the ball. She sees the floor so well. It's unbelievable to me how well she sees the floor. And I love her logo commercial too, by the way.
Yeah, I love the State Farm commercial.
I love that commercial.
Right. Sheboygan. Right.
Sheboygan. The logo, bottom row.
Right. Hey, David, any observation? And I know how you feel about both the Fever
I'm a big Caitlin fan. What I heard from Caitlin, when she was asked, is it going to be a pitch count for her? She said, oh, hell no. It's stupid.
I'm not coming back till I'm ready.
And, I like the fact that she's better. She's better. And that's all that matters. If there's a conspiracy, and there's always a conspiracy in sports, at least some people think, the WNBA wants the Fever to win the championship. If there was a conspiracy.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I don't think the Liberty or that Minnesota outfit, I'm
just
saying if there was a conspiracy, I didn't say there was a conspiracy. If there was a conspiracy, they would want the Fever because they're the biggest draw in the WNBA. Period. Yeah. Nobody's even close.
I don't want to do the conspiracy thing because I'm probably the only guy on the panel that doesn't think we landed on the moon, but that's for another show.
You don't think we landed on the moon?
Hell no. But that's a show for another day.
Yeah, we can do a whole show on that.
Right. Yeah. Oh, you mean they landed, got a car out, drove the car out, put back on the capsule, then pulled off and no. And by the way, we didn't even have color televisions back then. But that's
we had color TVs. You just didn't.
We had color TVs then.
Oh, maybe 1968?
69.
Yeah,
July
69. They had color TVs.
Yeah.
There were color TVs.
We didn't have a color
cast in all color. They were full color before.
Yeah, they were available. But we didn't have one.
I know. I'm from a different neighborhood. I know Larry was on the upper side of our neighborhood, so maybe he had color up there.
We had one. Yeah.
All right. Any closing comments? And I'll start with you, David.
Yes, I do have a closing comment. We don't normally talk about the NHL and the Stanley Cup, but I've got to give some props to the Florida Panthers winning their second straight Stanley Cup, beating the Edmonton Oilers for the second straight year. Congratulations to the Florida Panthers. Congratulations to the NHL and the Stanley Cup.
Good point, David. Excellent point. Larry, you have any closing comments?
Yeah, my closing comments, I'm going to take my hat off to the Pacers and the Thunder. The two best teams playing right now, they've given me every bit of, they're worth every moment looking at them. And I'm hoping for 7 games. You know me, I like 7 games.
Right.
But I as a hoop purist, I couldn't be happier with this. So my hat goes off to both teams, and I like the professionalism. Forget about what guy on TV says. He wants Richard Jefferson. He wants to fight. They're professional. They respect each other. They respect the game, and they both play very well.
Greg, any closing comments? Well done, Larry.
Yeah, I'll make mine real quick. And I tell you, this has been bothering me for a long time, and I'm so disappointed at the role that gambling and betting is playing in sports now. It just really makes me so sick. And I watched this clip of Gabby Thomas, Olympic gold medalist, being harassed by this guy who's talking about her personally, and because his parlay did this, and Lance McCullers' family threatened by some drunken gambler overseas, not even in our country, overseas, over his parlay falling apart because McCullers didn't pitch well that night. And I curse the day that the NFL sold is sold to FanDuel. I'm just so tired of gambling commercials and sports playing such a prominent role in every gambling playing such a prominent role in every sports. I just wish it would go away. So that's mine. Just gambling, go away, please. Go away.
Good job, Greg. And Mike, you are right. Shout out to the Washington Defenders. They beat the Michigan Panthers in the XFLF. And I was
UFL. I don't even know.
UFL.
Yeah.
UFL.
USFL. Right.
Close enough, though.
Yeah. What is it?
UFL.
UFL.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. All right, guys, that's it. I went over my time like I always do. Shame on me. I appreciate everyone tuning in. Thanks, everybody. The panel, you guys were amazing. Appreciate that. We'll see you next Wednesday. It'll be our last show, I think, of the season. And have a great rest of the week.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody.